Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Great episode, but before I get into my review, there are two important things that I need to say. First, if you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. I summarize and review the latest Kapımı episodes, say what I like, what I didn't like, what I think might happen next. If you like these kinds of videos, like, comment, share, but most importantly, subscribe so we can meet on a weekly basis. The second thing concerns the trailers. So as I already said in my last review, I'm open to commenting on the trailers, and because I got quite a positive feedback on my last review, I will do it. So as soon as there's a new trailer out, I will put my thoughts down either in the description or in the comments. Just look for them, but please give me some time because I'm not always next to my phone and I don't always see when there's a new trailer out. So give me a couple of hours time, but the latest should be the next morning. So anyways, let's get into the review. First we have Erdem, who's very smitten with the new PR manager, Balca, if I'm not mistaken, and he has a dilemma because he still likes Fifi but he's engaged to Leyla. So his plan is to break up with Leyla so that Fifi has eyes for him, because Balca is not very close to him right now, so he kind of likes her but he still has feelings for Fifi. So at the party he breaks up with Leyla in front of Fifi, and everybody kind of notices it, that it's just an act for Fifi so that he has a shoulder to cry on her. And it was just hilarious, him desperately trying to get back the attention of Fifi. Then we have Ayfak's storyline. In last episode she told Eda to bring some eggplants to Chef Alexander and he was very impressed by her, so they're kind of messaging back and forth, or more like Fifi messaging him on behalf of Ayfak. And then there was this moment where the phone rang, an order is coming through, Melek picks up, writes down the order, and it says 50 cookies or something like that, but Ayfak reads 500 because the pen didn't really work towards the end. So the smiley that Melek put after the 50, for Ayfak it looked like a 0, so she made 500 cookies and I felt so bad for her. The rest of the cookies, so the 450, Fifi came up with the idea to use them kind of as a campaigning aid or something to help Aydan, who wants to be the president of the high society club, as I call them, I believe. So they're kind of helping Aydan and also helping them because it kind of gets the word out of what they're doing. Then we have Engin and Pırıl. So Engin is desperately trying to get her to visit his mother. She's so focused on work, and it seemed to me that by her working that much, she's kind of avoiding this whole topic of meeting Engin's mother, marriage and everything. So Engin is really desperate. He even asks Erdem and Melek for help how to propose, but both of their ideas are not good enough for him. And then he seeks help from Serkan, but because Serkan was waiting for Eda to come, he wasn't very there for Engin. He tried to give him some ideas, but at the same time kind of pushing him out of his house. In the end, Engin has an idea to do this grand gesture. So at Aydan's party, people are like, why is there suddenly smoke outside? Then we see Engin riding on a horse and then confessing his feelings, but Pırıl couldn't really understand what he was saying, and then at the end he asks her to marry him and everybody is really happy. He comes inside, he proposes once more because she said that she didn't really want such a grand gesture, she wants it simple, blah blah blah, but he really focused on the tradition, on her liking it, doing it for her. So then he goes down on one knee and proposes to her and everybody is happy when she accepts, and it was just so adorable. Then we have the new girl, Balca. I really do hope that's her name because that's what I understood. Balca. Anyways, so because Celine quit her job, because let's get a couple of steps back. As we know, Eda and Serkan are at the restaurant. Celine sees that Serkan is still not there, so she tries calling Serkan but he doesn't pick up. So Leyla then calls Eda and that's how they get back to the company. So when Eda and Serkan are walking in, Ferit and Ceren are close after them, and then Celine also comes because she sees them when they walk in, because she was actually talking to the reporter about the blackmail of FM. After that, Serkan is in the office office. Everybody is there. Ferit tries to talk to Serkan, but Celine comes, says that she has something important to say, and that's when she kind of lays it all out there that all of them lied to Serkan, kept a secret, and they're all in on it. So then she explains everything to Serkan, and then in the end she says that she wants to quit her job as a PR manager and that she will give her 5% shares to Serkan. Where I'm like, okay, I can live with that. We don't get to see Celine anymore, and she does something good and gives her 5% shares to Serkan, so now he has the majority. Then she just walks out. Ferit and Ceren are still there. Serkan is kind of disappointed in Ferit because he's like, well, if I can't trust you, how can I rely on you in this whole business? You can really see that Ferit felt really bad for his actions, and he says that he tried to talk to Serkan but he couldn't really because other things came up, so he's apologizing for everything. And then what really surprised me was that Serkan was like, okay, let's forget about it, let's just start a new page, everything is forgotten. Anyways, now that Celine quit her job, Serkan has to look for a new PR manager. So all the candidates he goes through, everybody was flirting with him. Eda didn't like any one of them, and then Serkan was like, okay, I'm just looking for a male one because all the female ones are pissing you off and I don't want that, blah blah blah. So Eda goes through the CVs, sees quite a nerdy girl, so with a ponytail, glasses, and she's like, okay, I will take her. So they call Balca. She's actually having brunch, whatever, with her friend. Her friend is quite into astrology and reads her horoscope. Says that today or tomorrow an architecture company will call you with a job offer, and in your love life you will have luck because the love of your life has the initials of S and B. And then Leyla actually calls Balca and tells her, yeah, you can come in for an interview, blah blah blah. So Balca is like, oh my god, this is true. So when she goes there, she kind of impresses Serkan by what she knows, how she handles things. But then Serkan is like, no, I will look for a male one, but Eda insists, no, she's a good one, blah blah blah. So Serkan accepts, even tells her right then and there that Balca is hired. I'm kind of on the fence with Balca because she does her work quite well, but then there are her really obsessive tendencies. Because Celine was at the reception, Balca wants to go, is really excited that she got the job, calls her friend, and she's like, oh my god, my boss's name is Serkan Polat, so S and B. So Celine is kind of like, interesting, and then goes to Balca, says that she's the ex-PR manager, let me show you the ropes, how I do everything, blah blah blah. Then tells her everything about Serkan because that's her job, she needs to know everything about her boss. I do think that Celine kind of planted some seeds, maybe some evil seeds, because when there was this meeting of her telling Serkan that she called all the women from this society thing where his mother wants to be the president of, it somehow came up that people can change, and Balca is like, no, you can't change people, you should accept the person you're with the way he or she is. It was kind of like Balca taking digs at Eda, trying to change Serkan, because I think she heard everything from Celine. So you could really see Eda being stone-faced, not really liking what she hears, and then Serkan sensing this uncomfortable tension between them and tries to change the topic. You can really see that Eda is seeing Balca as a competition. So this is getting really interesting, but doing her job, she did it quite well, because when Aydan was attacked by the press, she handled the press really well. So I can't say anything negative about that, but her obsession with Serkan will get more and more, I believe. So yeah, is there anything else? About the last scene I will talk later about, where Balca is also involved. But getting back to Celine, she manipulates Balca, in my opinion, big time. Maybe she will keep in touch with Balca, I don't know. But in the end, she goes to the party because she heard that Aydan is now the president of the High Society Club. She congratulates Aydan, but at the same time wants to say goodbye to everybody. And also to Eda, says that she always wanted to go with Serkan to Denmark to open up their firm there, but now she kind of sees that she lost herself in this whole pursuit of Serkan. So now she will move to Denmark by herself, and she wishes all the best to Serkan and Eda. And yeah, I can't really trust her. I don't think that she will move. It's hard to tell because I haven't heard that the actress is really leaving the series, so I do think that we will see more of her in the near future. But yeah, that's her storyline kind of. Then we can move on to the Ceren and Ferit one. So Ferit is apologizing to Serkan. Serkan accepts his apology, and then I think that's the only other thing. So he takes a walk and Ceren is walking like towards him. Coincidence, they meet, him telling her that he's a little bit hungry, so if she would join him, then they go to this little stall where there's durum or something like that, and they eat it. And then he tells her that he's very impressed by her eating so simple, and she's like, well, I might seem arrogant but I'm not, blah blah blah. And then him being like, since I met this person who showed me how to look from a different angle on my life, blah blah blah. So kind of hinting that because of her he changes, and then he wants to go in for a kiss, and I was like, oh my god, like this is moving way too fast. But then she stops and says, well, remember what you told me. So kind of saying like, well, you told me to take things slow. Oh, and then the next day she's at that bar, whatever, wanting to make some coffee. Ferit comes and they had this really adorable awkward conversation kind of, and Engin sees Ferit, comes, asks him for advice how to propose, because Engin knows how Ferit proposed to Celine. So he just wants some advice but completely blacks out Ceren. So Ferit is signing to Engin like, Ceren is here, just stop talking. And then Engin gets the message, but Ceren's mood is already spoiled, so she just walks off because she has things to do. I felt so bad for Ferit. Then we have Aydan and Alptekin. So quite at the beginning of the episode, Seyfi is warning Aydan that Alptekin is coming, and Aydan is like, well, he comes now and begs me to take him back, blah blah blah. But Alptekin is very stern and being like, well, I wanted to talk to you about something, I want a divorce. But before he can say that, Aydan says it because she thinks that he will then beg her not to do it, but he says the same thing. So she's very shocked that he actually said that, and then he tells her that she can have everything that he owns except for his personal properties, and then he just walks off. So Aydan is really shocked that 30 years of marriage are kind of done in 30 seconds. So I really felt bad for her, and that's when she kind of loses her mind, and Seyfi calls Serkan. Serkan is actually with Eda at the office, and Eda tags along because she kind of feels bad for Aydan. And when they arrive there, Aydan is dancing there, remembering the good old times, then hugs both of them, and then Eda is kind of telling her to focus on charity, and that's how she kind of gets to compete as a president for the high society club because of Eda's idea. Aydan is like, oh, I would love that, but please be by my side, please help me with that. And Eda is like, as long as Serkan is not there, of course I will help. And then Aydan is like, we'll see about that, and winks at Seyfi. It was hilarious. I loved that little moment. I loved it so much. So after that, Alptekin goes to the company, wants to talk to Serkan. He apologizes for not being able to be the best father he could, but he knows that Serkan will be the best father, and also tells Serkan that Eda is the one for him, so please don't do the same mistakes that I made. And I felt so bad for Alptekin, and then Serkan telling him that he should never come and see Aydan and Serkan, so that he should keep a distance, leave them alone. But then Alptekin said that whenever Serkan needs some help, he will always be there, and he knows deep down sometime in the future Serkan will forgive Alptekin. And that was kind of a goodbye for Alptekin, because you could really see him walking through saying goodbye to everyone silently, and it really hurt him to do that. Anyways, Aydan's storyline. So the press is outside. Seyfi tells Aydan thinks that they heard that she wants to be a candidate as a president of this high society club, but they're actually asking her about Alptekin and him cheating, blah blah blah. So she calls Serkan to handle everything. Serkan and Eda want to go to Aydan. Balca comes from Celine, and Serkan explains the situation. Balca is like, well, this is my job, so I will tag along. So she handles the press really well while Serkan is talking to Aydan inside. And then what else? So Aydan is kind of telling those high society ladies that she also wants to compete even though it's a day before the voting. Balca then helps them, so they call those ladies, and Serkan and Eda also go to a lady whose vote is decisive, and she has this pottery shop. Serkan really tries to convince that woman to vote for his mother, but she's like, no, we want stability, not change, blah blah blah. And then Eda kind of takes the lead, talks about pottery. So then the woman says, well, you can do a pot, blah blah blah. Anyways, then we have this amazing pottery scene, and I was like, oh my god, them touching, them being so close, I loved it. And I was like, oh my god, is this kind of the redemption of the curtain scene and shower scene? Is this kind of like making up for it? But then it ended, and I was like, why couldn't you have been longer? We wanted to see more. Or was it just me? Anyways, Balca then comes up with the idea to hold like an electoral debate, like a Q&A then and there when the voting is happening, so that the women can see who the candidates are and what they want to bring to the table. So Aydan really wants to have Eda there kind of as her rock, and then a woman asks her about her divorce. How can she focus on the charity work when she's preoccupied with her divorce? And then Aydan does this whole speech, and Eda also adds to it. In the end, Aydan actually wins. So Ferit's mother lost because she actually tried to sabotage Aydan, because she actually sent the press to Aydan's home. Anyways, because of that victory, she wants a 70s themed party, and that's all happening in Serkan's old house. Because Aydan loves to party, she kind of brings everybody to the dance floor and also wants to get Eda, but Serkan tells Aydan maybe Eda doesn't want to dance, but Eda accepts because she does it for Aydan's sake and not because of Serkan. So Serkan is like, well, the contract doesn't work in the 70s, and she's like, yes it does, but I'm doing it for Aydan. And then they dance. God, so amazing, they're dancing, but still I wanted to see more pottery. Anyways, Balca is also at the party, watches Serkan and Eda being really close, almost kissing. I thought that she would just storm off, but she's actually like, well, I'm going to go, I don't want to cause a scene. So I was like, okay, at least you're a lady, and just walks off. But then she's kind of a biatch towards the end, which I'm going to talk later about. So I do think that that's all, and we can move on to the Eda and Serkan storyline. So we continue right when they're kissing in the elevator, and I'm like, oh my god, do we see a little bit more? And he has this really pleased look on his face, and she's kind of putting two and two together, seeing what just happened, and she slaps him. And I was like, girl, I didn't see that coming. Like, quite at the beginning, already a slap. She then gets angry that he forgot about the contract, blah blah blah. He's like, no, I didn't forget, I just wanted you to forget where you are in an elevator. And I'm like, good move. And then she tells him that he violated the most important rule, and he kind of seems that he doesn't care and kisses her again. And I was like, girl, I didn't see that coming. Then we see them both eating, her kind of comparing potatoes to Serkan. Okay. Then there's this whole scene of Celine explaining everything, Ferit apologizing to Serkan. Eda then also wants to go, but Serkan is being like, we need to talk. Her being like, well, I'm not to blame here, but he's like, well, you also kept the secret from me. So kind of hinting to her that because she did that, it's kind of the same as him keeping a secret, not telling her that he knows who was behind the wall collapsing on her parents. So because of that, he has a punishment for her. So she has to grant him 3 wishes, because she actually wanted to apologize for it, but he's like, one apology is not enough. So later, Serkan is telling her about those 3 wishes, that he now knows the punishment. With those 3 wishes, it's actually making amends without violating the contract, because that's Eda's fear that he will violate the contract. And he's like, I know this contract very well, and we're not violating it. And then he tells her that he tried changing for her, and lately he made quite big steps. Then we have this whole Alptekin talking to Serkan. So after that, Eda goes in, wants to see how Serkan is doing, and he's really work focused, and he's saying that work makes him happy, and it's actually the second thing that makes him happy. And and then she asks him what's the first one, and he's like, guess. So she's guessing a couple of things, but he's every time no, and then is like hinting that it's her. So the love to her is the thing that makes him most happy. And then again she's reminding him of the contract, and I'm like, girl, he already knows what's in the contract, so you don't need to remind him every couple of seconds. Then after the pottery, they come back to the office and they're both flustered, and Balca is there seeing it. That was the first moment you could really see her jealousy and kind of targeting Eda as her competition. Then, like I already said, Balca is telling them that people can't change, blah blah blah. After she goes, Serkan is actually asking Eda if she wants to go with him for a coffee. She's like, no, because against the contract, blah blah blah. He's like, no, it's about work. But then he tells her, I actually wanted to tell you one of the wishes over coffee. And then she kind of convinces him to tell her that right then and there. And he's like, well, surprise me one night. Just come over and watch a movie with me, eat popcorn. And she's very, okay, will you really eat popcorn because you don't eat it? And he's like, well, just a little bit. Okay, I will just try just a little bit, but still you will come and we will watch a movie. And then she kind of agrees to it, and because he's so eager to do that, he asks her, when will you come? And she's like, well, I'm going to surprise you. So that night, Serkan is talking to Sirius saying, well, Eda will come tonight, I have a feeling, blah blah blah. But who's actually at the door? Engin, asking him for advice. And while Serkan is desperately trying to get Engin out, another person rings the doorbell, and it's actually Ferit, because he wants to apologize. And he actually wanted to tell Serkan that Efe offered him a sum to sell his 5% shares to him, or to Efe, and it just wants all out there, so there are no more secrets between him and Serkan. And Serkan is like, well, couldn't you have just told me that over the phone or tomorrow? And then another person rings the doorbell, and who is it? Agdem. It was just so hilarious, this whole scene. It was just amazing. Agdem trying to give Serkan some documents because he couldn't wait, but then in the end wants some advice in love, and Serkan is like, oh my god, are you serious? And then Engin giving Agdem advice, and then we have this whole montage of all of them walking around talking blah blah blah. But then in the end, Serkan finally gets them out of his place, and Eda is nowhere in sight. So after the whole party, Serkan is once again at home talking to Sirius, being like, I have a feeling that Eda will come tonight, blah blah blah. Also, we actually see Eda talking to the girls a couple of times, contemplating about her decision to change Serkan. The words of Balca are kind of stuck to her. She's really rethinking everything. And then Jagan is like, well, you see that Serkan is actually changing for you, so you should kind of make steps towards him as well, because he keeps making progress. So that's when she decides that she will go to Serkan with popcorn and surprise him. But in the meantime, Serkan's doorbell rings. He thinks it's Eda, but it's actually Balca. She says that she's living not far from here and she wanted to give him some documents, blah blah blah, and then asks him about a pizza place. And then he's like, okay, let's do it this way. I will look over the documents, order some food, and blah blah blah. So he invites her in, looks over the documents, and I was like, Serkan, wrong move. Completely wrong move, because by the way she was saying, well, I'm not going to sleep the next couple of hours, blah blah blah, so you can call me anytime. I was like, girl, you're desperate. She's sitting there, the doorbell rings, he's preparing the plates because he thinks that it's actually the delivery guy. So when Eda comes in with the popcorn in hand, I don't know what Serkan is putting in Balca's hand, because they're kind of touching hands. And then Eda is standing there. Serkan sees her, is like, Eda, really surprised, but not really grabbing the scene that it looks weird from Eda's perspective, because he only sees this whole Balca scene as work. So he's like, okay, what are you doing here? Kind of forgetting that he wanted Eda to come and surprise him. And then we see Balca really smug, being like, hello. And I was like, girl, no. And that's the end. So thank God we got a trailer, and in that trailer we see that Eda is kind of territorial, asking Balca if there's somebody in her life, if she has a boyfriend, and Balca is not really answering. I love watching that trailer. So Serkan, Eda and Balca are sitting together. Eda constantly kicking Serkan whenever Balca was answering, and then Balca is actually giving the same answer to Eda as Serkan did. So she says that work is the second thing that makes her happy, but the first thing is love. And oh, what I forgot to say is that when she was talking to Serkan while he was looking over the documents, she was kind of pushing him, because she was not really pushing him, like pushing him away, but being like, well, I'm a workaholic and I love to work, that's why I had to come to you. And Serkan is like, well, I know what it feels like because I was the same, but then a special person came and showed me that there's more to life than work. And she's like, no, you have to focus on work. I completely get it, kind of being like, I know what you feel, we fit together like a glove. So anyways, back to the trailer. So then we see Melek kind of spying on Balca and also Eda. There's a scene when they're looking through a glass door, and then we have them on a skating ring. So I'm really excited for those scenes, being really cute together. Serkan telling Eda that he always wanted to come with the love of his life, where the woman he loves, on a skating ring, and that woman is Eda. And I was like, oh my god, girl, if there's not going to be a kiss, I'm disappointed. Then we hear Leyla telling Serkan that if his new partner wants to meet Serkan, and then we see this old lady, very elegant, very high society kind of, and Eda standing there and saying grandma. And I do think that that's kind of towards the end. Now things will get messy, I'm sure of it, but I'm really excited to see how the grandma will behave. I'm really interested to see how this will work out. But yeah, that's all I can say. I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, I'm really sorry. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this amazing episode. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell to be notified whenever I post something, and I will see you next time. Bye.